Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another Historical Humans Reacts. And today we are going to the Persian Gulf, where archaeologists have discovered the oldest pearling town in the region,
Yep.
which is pretty nifty discovery. And you can see an aerial view here, which is lovely laid out. I actually really like how this article is laid out, just because visuals show me.
Yes. It's very nice. I do like how there's still a road apparent going just down the peninsula. I'm going to assume that most of that is just from the archaeologists and other things going up and down here, as it does appear to be a road that leads to nowhere.
Well, and in a lot of cases like this, people are aware that this is here, but it's very seldom that it gets studied in its entirety.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that that's probably what happened was not that the archaeologists created a road that bisected the site. I think we would tend to avoid that personally, but I think it was probably just the ruins were known to be here, but they didn't know what they were.
Yeah. One other thing I like, just staying on the aerial view, is if you look at how some of the excavation pits are laid out, some of the buildings, there's actually a fun little shift in how the buildings are laid out. As you approach the shoreline, the buildings turn about 30 degrees to face with the front end with like a flat end towards the shore,
Yeah.
whereas more towards the middle they are like parallel with that road going parallel with the length of the peninsula. So it's almost like how they changed how they laid out their buildings as they got close to the sea. Give you a nice front door access to the water.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. And the thing that I think I'd be most curious about, just right off the hop here, is you see where the peninsula is today. I wonder
Yeah.
what its historic barriers would be.
Yeah.
If, like, these two buildings on the right here, if those were right on the shoreline and we've gained coastline over the years, or if these were actually further away and that the coastline has eroded since.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of curious to
Given
figure that out.
Yeah. Given how green it is and how we have this little like peninsular spur out here on the left hand side, I'd say it looks like we've been gaining coast as opposed to losing it, as the greenery would mean retention of soil.
Yeah.
As opposed to if this was all like still barren and sandy, I'd say we probably lost coastline. But I don't exactly know for sure. This is just me eyeballing a picture after 30 seconds. We're
But
playing archaeology geoguesser here.
which, if you want to see that, leave a comment down below. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I hate that game so much.
But basically, what they have figured out that was here is that it's the oldest pearling town in the Persian Gulf, which effectively it's a 30-acre town, and it functioned sometime between the late 6th century and the mid 8th centuries,
Yep.
predating Islamic civilization, which is kind of
Yep.
cool.
Which is very fun. Yep. And that's a very fun. That's a very fun thing about it, because a lot of times we look at just as ordinary people, we hear things like United Arab Emirates, which is the nation that it's in, and we look at that part of the world and we tend to see as Americans this general monolith of just Islam, and it's very much not, and it's very much not been that way for any point in its history. And this is a fun little example of that, because I believe this town is actually Christian. On the assessment comes from the basis of a monastery that was discovered there a year prior. Um, so yeah, this is a fun, so it's a Christian town in the UAE peninsula, and it just farms pearls all year long too.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting because a lot of times settlements like this, especially seaside or specifically when it comes to cultivation of specific materials, they tend to be seasonal settlements because there's usually in seasons and out seasons, and the fact that it was inhabited year round still just tells you just how profitable it was and how many people were reliant on it. On top of that, they say that there were thousands of people who lived here.
Yes, it is currently the largest historical town found in the country, which you know it it inhabited several it had several thousand in inhabitants who would have had to rely on the pearling industry sort of to make their money. and their livelihood. Sort of like how all the people in that island in Jaws have to rely on the tourism.
Yeah.
It's it's a one horse town, but it's a massively prosperous one.
And they know from historical documentations and writing that pearling existed in this region and that towns existed up and down the border. But this one, like we said earlier, is particularly unique because it is a year round settlement and just purely how big it was. So it was of great importance, and there clearly was a lot of money to be made and a lot of money going in and out of these towns.
Yep. Yep. Very much so. And pearling has been done in this region for about 7,000 years. This site is about 1,500 years old at the earliest. So, at the point in which people are settling here and finding these pearl banks, suffice to say there is a long standing tradition, and these people know exactly what they're doing, which is probably why it becomes so big and prosperous, in addition to probably having a massive pearl bed. Lots and lots of wonderful clams, which one of the nice things about pearling that I think is overlooked is not only it's one of the few luxury resources you can harvest that also provides food for the worker, as the pearls have to come from clams. So the worker gets clam chowder, and you get all these pearls.
Oh no, I think you've just unlocked Massachusetts.
Well, it's a luxury resource that also serves as a subsistence resource. Now, they're not going to just live off of clams the whole time. There's nowhere in the world where there's that many clams. But, gold doesn't feed you by mining the gold. You don't get to eat the rock it's in.
You do bite it though to see if it's legitimate gold.
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't get it doesn't count as sustenance.
No, but that's honestly a good point of that the resource that they're literally building the towns to harvest is providing food to help sustain them. So it's pretty interesting. And the fact that there's an ancient Christian monastery nearby also tells you of the area's importance because religion usually tied in pretty heavily to villages. It doesn't matter which religion or where you are in the world.
It also the bigger the religious site also indicates the general political importance of where it is located. And this appears, I don't know how big the monastery is, but a full monastery is usually something bigger than a simple like church for the town. Like an actual monastery is a place for monks and religious scholars to go and live and learn. So
Usually
this
it's
is
like
it's not a small investment from the church's standing. This isn't just building a church for the parish. This is no, we're gonna have a whole library and send people here to learn.
exactly, yeah. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good point to actually wrap up on. We covered the site pretty intently. We covered the news. We don't tend to hear too much about archaeology that happens in the UAE, so we figured it'd be a good point to shout it out. And this article was just really well laid out.
Yeah, it's a very nice one. Lots of good images. You can see the nice, perfectly cleaned up pits with all the walls in them.
I also just want to point out that archaeologists doesn't matter where you are, look exactly the same. You could go on any excavation in the United States and see these exact three guys, like
Yes.
almost verbatim.
We are all variants of the same 9 generic white people.
uh, on that terrible bombshell, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below. If you want to see us play Archaeology GeoGuessr, leave a comment down below. Torment column. And be sure to check out the humanitarian collections, which will be linked in the description down below. It's a storefront that we have that helps us support the Trevor Project, so be sure to check it out and help us support a great cause. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next video.